We are starting our 17th weekend, and our class today is the 33rd in quantum psychotherapy. And our topic today is about maintaining a quantum informed practice. So we are looking at the ethical considerations in quantum psychotherapy. And we are looking at the 0-point signature aura. We are also looking at self-care, and we are looking at maintaining a quantum-informed practice. So the importance of having a 0-point signature aura as we take command of our own aura as therapists is to keep a high vibrational frequency protected from outside interference, remaining calm no matter what life throws our way as psychotherapists. So 0-point signature refers to a state of perfect internal neutrality and balance. And this ensures emotional sovereignty, creating a buffer zone where we aren't constantly reacting to the client's mood or to a partner's mood. We remain centered in our own frequency rather than being swept away and swept up in a client's drama or trauma. So this 0-point field signature ensures a clean resonance between us and the client. Without a clear signature, the client-therapist relationships becomes entangled in a messy way where both the client and the psychotherapist may lose their identity. So the 0-point state allows for connection based on choice rather than codependent energetic need. And this enables manifestation power where you as the therapist, you facilitating healing of a client's issue as your 0-point field is the source of all potential. So maintaining this signature within a relationship between you and the client allows both you and the client to manifest a shared reality from a place of stillness and intention rather than through friction. So holding a 0-point signature, you as the psychotherapist invites the client to raise to that same stability, often resolving issues without using words at all, ensuring relationship is an expansion of our own aura, not a drain of it. So let us begin with 0-point self-care and maintaining a 0-point quantum-informed practice. In the realm of quantum-informed practice, self-care is not a luxury. It is the fundamental calibration of your own instrument as a quantum psychotherapist. And to operate from a 0-point signature, you move beyond traditional relaxation into the active maintenance of your electromagnetic baseline. And this ensures that the space held for others remains a pure, high coherence vacuum rather than a cluttered field of personal static. So what is the foundation of the 0-point quantum self-care? Maintaining a quantum-informed aura requires a shift from doing to simply being. And while standard self-care focuses on recovering from exhaustion, 0 point self-care focuses on preventing decoherence. And decoherence means getting out of coherence. So self-care focuses on preventing this decoherence. And what do we do to do that? First and foremost, we need frequency hygiene. So just as a surgeon scrubs their hands after a session of surgery, you as the quantum practitioner must clean your biological field, your aura. And this is the process of stripping away borrowed energies, the residual emotions or thoughts picked up from your clients to return to your unique harmonic signature. And two, neutrality training. Cultivating a witness consciousness through daily meditation, where you are simply observing and not being absorbed into what is happening in your thoughts or emotions. So you are becoming a witness observer. And this builds your muscle tone that is required if you are to stay neutral when a client's energy field becomes chaotic or heavy. You are simply witnessing it as an observer without getting enmeshed within it. And thirdly, the biological grounding. You will need proper hydration as a psychotherapist. And you will need contact with the earth, grounding, to provide the physical stability necessary to sustain the 0 point field frequency within your high frequency signature. So how do we integrate the quantum into practice? This quantum-informed practice recognizes that you, as a quantum psychotherapist, and the client, you are part of a single entangled field during the session. And to maintain this integrity of this field, you will need first and foremost pre-session calibration. 15 minutes before the client comes in, you as a quantum psychotherapist, you have to enter a 0 point state before the client's arrival. And this creates a pre-established harmonic north that the session will naturally gravitate towards. So besides the pre-session calibration, you also need an in-session micro adjustment. And here during the sessions, you can be using the breath to flush the central channel. And the central channel runs from your pelvis up to the crown. So you can imagine breathing in through the crown and through your feet so that this central channel is kept pure. So if your own signature begins to vibrate in sympathy with the client's trauma, you can use this conscious intent of breath to return to your neutrality, because you are receiving that grounding from the earth and you are receiving that vitality from the heavenly life force. And the third thing you can do, besides pre-session calibration and in-session micro adjustment, you also have to do post-session dissociation, where you officially close the entanglement you had with the client during sessions. And this prevents your own aura from leaking energy into the client's life outside of the session and vice versa. Remember, once two particles are linked, they remain linked. And that means even after the client leaves the room, you are still entangled. And your energy might still be leaking into the client's outside life, outside the session. So you have to have this closing of the entanglement during the session, so that as the client leaves the session and you also go back to your place, the client is not leaking energy into your aura, and you are also not leaking energy into the client's aura. How do we sustain this 0-point signature? The greatest risks to you as a practitioner, to you as a quantum psychotherapist, is empathic burnout. And empathic burnout occurs when the aura loses its 0-point stability and begins to mirror the client's distress. So you as a quantum informed practitioner, the quantum informed approach solves this by emphasizing that you are a conduit. You are a channel, not a container. So whatever it is that happens during the sessions, you are simply a conduit. You are not a container retaining it in your space. So by staying in the 0-point, you don't take on the client's burden. You provide the light by which the client can see and set the burden within themselves for themselves. So in conclusion, the 0-point self-care is the radical act of protecting your own coherent signature. And by prioritizing the clarity of your own signature, you ensure that your present remains as potent and remains as a healing catalyst and remains as a steady signal in a noisy world. So we have to maintain a 0-point quantum informed practice. And this quantum informed practice is built on the understanding that you as a quantum psychotherapist is not a passive observer, but an active participant in a shared energetic field. and to maintain a 0-point signature within your own framework and your own aura and your own architecture of the psyche is to operate from a state of dynamic stillness, that neutral high frequency baseline that allows for maximum therapeutic potential without energetic depletion to get into energetic burnout. So the therapist as an entrainment source, the therapist that you are, that are going to calibrate and to offer a moment of whatever it is that is happening in your own aura to happen in the aura of the client. This entrainment occurs when two oscillating systems fall into synchronicity. Your own oscillating system and the system of the client are falling into synchronicity. And in a session, between you and the client, the person with the most stable, coherent frequency will naturally pull the other into their rhythm. If the client's system is more stable than yours, you will benefit from their stability. So by maintaining a 0-point signature in your own aura as a quantum psychotherapist, you become the master clock. Rather than being pulled into the client's chaotic drama or the dense frequency of their anxiety or grief or trauma, you provide a steady, neutral ground that invites the client's field to self-organize and to stabilize. So entrainment is where two vibrating systems like your aura and a healing frequency pulse at the same rate. So your system and your client's system are entrained to pulse at the same rate. That is what entrainment means. So what are the core pillars of this quantum-informed practice? The first one is intentional decoherence, where you as a quantum-informed practitioner acknowledges entanglement, that reality as your energy is mixing with the client's. And maintenance requires the conscious act of delinking after every session, after every interaction. And this presents the storage of the client's data within your own aura, ensuring that each new session starts from a true zero. The second point is the void of non-judgment. The 0-point is often described as the void, a space of infinite possibility. So by staying in this signature, you collapse fewer wave functions, preconceived outcomes. This means you don't decide how the client should heal. You simply provide that high frequency vacuum where the client's own system can choose its best path towards wellness. The client is their own healer. They are their own hero and their own expert. The third pillar is observational integrity. In the quantum world, The act of observing changes the object being observed. This means that you, as a quantum psychotherapist, when you maintain your signature and you are aware that your gaze, that your thoughts, that your underlying beliefs about the client act as a formative force, how differently will you choose to think about the client, to think, to have a different belief about the client? Because what you believe about the client, what you think about the client is what the client is going to become. So maintenance involves that constant self-audit to ensure that you are observing your client through the lens of their potential rather than through their psychopathology, their pathology. Will she go through this? Instead of that, see what they are potentially capable of achieving. And this requires sustaining the quantum field. And maintaining this practice requires rigorous frequency hygiene. It is a move away from the hero archetype of healing, where you, as a quantum psychotherapist, you are giving your energy away to the conduit archetype. You are not seeing yourself as the hero. You are simply seeing yourself as a channel of healing. So in this channel, in this conduit model, you stay plugged into the universal zero-point field, and healing energy is moving through you, not from you. And this shift is the ultimate protection against burnout. And as long as you maintain that signature, you are continuously recharged by the same field of the zero-point field when you know that that healing is not coming from you. Because if it is coming from you, it means you are eventually going to be depleted. It is coming from the 0 point, moving through you as the channel. So maintaining a 0 point quantum informed practice is the discipline of becoming a clear mirror. It is the commitment to staying so resonant and so neutral that the client can firmly and finally see their own wholeness reflected back at them, unobstructed by your ego or exhaustion. Let that sink in. And this requires you to get back to your 0 point self-care strategies. In a quantum informed life, 0 point self-care is a place you need to keep taking yourself back to. That process of returning your biological and energetic system to your state of maximum potentiality. To that still point. So let's look at the philosophy of this still point. This still point is the heart of this practice. the 0 point field that is the background of the sea of energy within which all matter arises, within which everything that is happening within the session, the story of the client or the energy underlying the client, all this is taking place within that sea of energy. So to care for your own self at this level is to recognize that stress, trauma, and fatigue are simply the noise in your wave pattern. So self-care becomes the act of retuning your instrument so that your personal frequency matches the universal baseline of the 0 point field so that you are not depleted anytime during the session. Because when you are at the 0 point field energy state, you are not reacting to the past and you are not projecting into the future, and you are a centered, high functioning now. That channel of healing to the client through the 0 point. So the three pillars of the 0 point restoration are, first and foremost, sensory deprivation and silence. Because in our modern world, we live in a constant bombardment of data that causes decoherence in our own human aura. So 0 point self-care prioritizes the removal of any input from the outside chaos. So we need to spend time in total silence, removing external stimuli, allowing the nervous system to reset into the parasympathetic mode of rest and renew. Then too, we have to practice coherence restoration because we are a bioelectrical being living in a soup of man-made frequencies like the Wi-Fi of the 5G phone that I am using right now, which can produce muddy interference in our own aura. So the practice is intentional earthing or grounding, placing the body in direct contact with the earth's natural harm. And this allows your body to discharge excessive positive ions of the 5G cables that are tapped into your phone or into your laptop. Right now, as I'm seated giving this presentation, I am standing bare feet on the floor, constantly discharging the 5G into Mother Earth. The third pillar is biological coherence, the physical anchor. And our aura is the output of the body's internal chemistry of our thoughts and emotions. And we can maintain a 0 point signature. We cannot maintain a 0 point signature if the hardware is functioning in zigzag. So we have to practice using our breath work, especially the heart-brain coherence, where we breathe through our brain and the heart so that the brain and the heart can be in the same vibrational frequency. Heart-brain coherence means to synchronize the heart's rhythm with the brain's waves. And when the two organs beat in sync, the body enters a state of autonomic balance, where repair happens at the cellular level at an accelerated rate. That's where we can quantum jump into instant healing. So as we move towards the end of this presentation, let us go through a step-by-step ritual for a post-session energy clearing to maintain our aura with coherence. So as a quantum psychotherapist, to maintain your 0 point signature, we need a post-session ritual to de-entangle your energy field from the client. And this process moves you from a state of shared resonance back into your individual coherent baseline. So the first step in quantum decoupling is physical threshold crossing, the break. So the moment the client leaves, physically move your body, change your position, or walk to a different part of the room. This physical movement signals to your nervous system that the shared field has dissolved. How many of us have been doing that? Are you ready to begin doing it from today? So you can shake your hands and feet vigorously for 30 seconds to break any static energy clinging to your aura. The second step is somatic flushing. And water is a powerful conductor and cleanser of our aura. So you can wash your hands and forearms with cold water. And as you do, visualize any residue, gray or heavy energy from the session flowing down the drain. And if possible, splash your face with some water to reset your vagus nerve. Step 3, the zip up visualization. This establishes your energetic boundaries. So imagine a bright neon clear zipper starting at your pubic bone at the tip of your tail and pulling up straight up the center of your body to your lower lip. And as you zip, set the intention. I return all energy that is not mine to its source with blessings, and I call all of my own energy back into my center. Zip from the tail of your zip, starting at your pubic bone and pulling straight up the center of your body, up to the lower lip. The fourth step is tonal realignment using sound. And you can use your voice to vibrate your cells back to your unique frequency. You can either take a deep breath and exhale a low, steady hum or as you exhale. Oh. and feel the vibration of your chest. And this internal sound acts as a sonic reset, shaking off external frequencies and reinforcing your 0 point resonance. As you exhale. And the next fifth step is grounding and earthing. You can reconnect with your earth's frequency to discharge excess voltage. And if you can step outside barefoot on the grass or stone or sand, and if you are indoors, you can sit with your both feet flat on the floor, as I am doing right now, and you imagine roots dropping from your tailbone into the core of Mother Earth. Breathe in, earth green, and breathe out, session gray, all that residue. And the last step is to anchor a saint or a stone. And you can use a sensory trigger to lock in your cleared state. You can use a specific essential oil or a specific scent. I normally use lemon mint. I squeeze it and I scent that flavor. And I use this for postmortem session clearing, so that my brain associates the sensation and that sense with being closed and clear. And by performing these steps, you are ensuring, as a quantum psychotherapist, that you don't carry any imprint of one client into the next session, into the other client, or into your own personal life. So what are the 0 point self-care benefits? The first one is accelerated biological recovery. The second is cognitive clarity and emotional neutrality. And the third is energetic sovereignty and burnout prevention. And the fourth is manifestation and potentiality. So from a quantum perspective, the 0 point is the field of all possibilities. And when you care for yourself as a quantum psychotherapist by returning to this stage every time you end a session, the 0 point is the field of all possibilities, and you are no longer defined by your past traumas or future anxieties. You inhabit a pure present. And this state is the most fertile ground for manifesting your new realities every time you set an intention, as you are vibrating at the frequency of readiness rather than lack. So in conclusion, as we end this presentation, the benefits of 0 point self-care represent a shift from survival to sovereignty and mastery and thrival. It is the ultimate preventative medicine, 0 point self-care is the ultimate preventative medicine, ensuring that you remain a clear, potent channel, a resilient force. And by prioritizing the still point, you ensure that your life is lived as an expression of your true signature rather than a reaction to the chaotic world and whatever it is that life may throw your way. So the question I leave with you is, are you ready to take care of your aura, utilizing the 0 point self-care strategies and maintain a 0 point quantum informed practice? Enjoy your stay. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. See you the next time.